We're all familiar with that famous Charlie Brown scene, where Lucy holds the football for Charlie as he attempts to kick it, while Charlie, filled with excitement and anticipation that he is going to get the satisfaction of feeling his foot connect with the ball, sending it off into the wild blue yonder. Yet time after time, poor Charlie Brown falls for the same trick, as Lucy snatches the ball away from Charlie at the last minute, and he falls flat on his back. Well, in today's video, the United States Department of Justice is Lucy, and the poor families of Boeing's MAX crash victims are Charlie Brown. Because once again, and maybe for the final time, just when the MAX families thought they were going to kick the ball and finally score on Uncle Sam this time, the U.S. judicial system yanked the ball away, and the families found themselves crashing back to earth once again, and not in the literal sense as their loved ones horrifically experienced, but legally speaking. Because the same judge in the same court in Texas that just a few months ago declared them crime victims, allowing them to finally legally pursue Boeing criminally for the lives of their lost loved ones, just had their last hopes crushed earlier this month when their last hope at justice was ripped away from them at the last minute. That's next on Maximus. Greetings everybody, Maximus here. I hope you're all doing well, wherever you may be, all around this great big world of ours. As always, I'd appreciate it if you like this video. Please click that thumbs up button. That lets YouTube know they should recommend this video to a wider audience. And if you haven't, I'd appreciate it if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button too. Okay, I know all my subscribers are up to date on this Boeing soap opera. But here's a quick recap for those of you who may be new to the situation. Boeing's plane, the 737 Franken MAX, had suffered two fatal crashes in 2018 and 2019 as a direct result of Boeing building a dangerous aircraft and then knowingly hiding those dangers from the public, pilots, and regulators. After the crashes, the planes were grounded, then repaired, and returned to the skies in late 2020. Then in 2021, the United States Department of Justice charged Boeing with fraud and conspiracy, which could have seen Boeing executives go to prison.
You serious?
But instead, the DOJ's lead attorney, Aaron Neely Cox, struck a sweetheart deal with Boeing, where they would not face any criminal charges nor admit guilt. Instead, they would only have to pay a $2.5 billion fine, most of which went to the airlines, with $500 million of that going to a fund for victims' families who would first have to sign an agreement not to sue Boeing after accepting the money from the fund. However, there were a few families who refused to take Boeing's bribe money and sign away their right to sue. Because while the DOJ and attorney Aaron Neely Cox were busy striking their secret backroom sweetheart deal, they never included any of the victims' families in any of the negotiations with Boeing, thus giving them no voice whatsoever in whether Boeing should be charged criminally. Oh, and one more thing. As soon as the smoky backroom deal was signed and Boeing was in the clear, U.S. Attorney Aaron Neely Cox immediately left the DOJ to go to work for the Boeing law firm with which she just happened to broker the sweetheart deal with. However, meanwhile, still looking for a scapegoat to pin the deadly Boeing MAX crashes on, the DOJ, again in the Texas U.S. District Court presided by U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor, filed charges against Patsy Mark Faulkner, charging him with the cover-up of the MAX's MCAS system because of some circumstantial incriminating text messages and emails he wrote. However, it took a jury only 2 hours to find the Jedi Master Mark Faulkner not guilty on all counts. Whew. Okay, now that we're all caught up. Immediately after the January 2021 sweetheart deal was struck between Boeing and the DOJ, crash victims' families filed a lawsuit against the United States Department of Justice for not including them in any part of the settlement between Boeing and the U.S. government. The families demanded that their loved ones who perished in both MAX crashes be designated crime victims and asked the court to overturn the deal between Boeing and the DOJ so actual justice could finally be meted out to Boeing for the harm they caused. So then in October of 2022, when all seemed lost and there would never be justice for the families' lives snuffed out by Boeing, suddenly and almost miraculously, like the mighty phoenix, U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor, yes, the very same Judge Reed O'Connor, rose from the ashes to finally issue his ruling that officially and legally declared that the people killed in the 2 Boeing MAX crashes are indeed, under the law, considered crime victims. And the families rejoiced. On Friday, October 21st, 2022, Judge O'Connor ruled that had it not been for Boeing's criminal conspiracy to defraud the FAA and the world, 346 people would not have lost their lives in the crashes. However, Judge O'Connor did not rule on that day if he would overturn the sweetheart deal between Boeing and the DOJ, and he would have to ponder that and rule at a future date. Well, that future date finally came this month in February of 2023. Now finally, it was time to hear the judge's decision. Surely this judge who declared these passengers crime victims just a few months earlier would surely reopen the case, and after years of painful waiting in silence, Judge O'Connor would overturn this corrupt deal and allow the victims' families to finally seek real justice. In a packed Texas courtroom, you could hear a pin drop as the tortured families patiently awaited the decision they waited so long to hear. Finally breaking the deafening silence, the judge spoke and said, "The request to throw out or modify the Boeing DOJ settlement has been denied." And in that moment, it's almost as if all these families had experienced the 2 MAX crashes all over again in a blink of an eye. But how could this injustice have happened? Well, in all honesty, you can't blame Judge Reed O'Connor, because you get the feeling he really wanted to help these families get justice. However, he was bound by laws only Congress could change. O'Connor told the grief-stricken families, "This court has immense sympathy for the victims and loved ones of those who died in the tragic plane crash resulting from Boeing's criminal conspiracy." Judge O'Connor wrote in his ruling, "Had Congress vested this court with sweeping authority to ensure that justice is done in a case like this one, it would not hesitate." But of the Boeing deal, Judge O'Connor said the family's rights under the Crime Victims' Rights Act had been substantially and meaningfully satisfied. In his view, the Justice Department's actions were a legal error but not bad faith or impropriety, the judge said. But he appeared to express some regret at the constraints he faced, saying Congress could take up the matter if it chose to. However, in the end, the judge said that since the courts can't reject deferred prosecution agreements, he couldn't modify the Boeing agreement's terms to adequately reflect the court's assessment that doing so would better affect justice for the crime victims. But Judge O'Connor is a smart man, and even though he knows the odds are still stacked against these families due to the way the U.S. laws are written, his ruling that they were crime victims allows them to continue to fight on by appealing his decision and hoping a higher court, maybe even the Supreme Court, could still overturn the dirty deal the DOJ made with Boeing. And from his writings, it seems like he is genuinely hoping they succeed. But he knows, you know, and I know, this fight will go on possibly for years before a final ruling is handed down. But that doesn't scare these strong families. They say one and all they are up for the fight and they will see it through till the end. Plus, with an official court ruling declaring them as crime victims, they can and will sue Boeing again and again and again if necessary. And don't worry, because if and when that happens, I will be here to bring you all the latest news on their fight. But that's all I have for now. As always, I'm grateful you decided to stop by. And if you'd like to help support the work we do, the links are always in the description. But as always, the best way to help us grow is simply to subscribe, like, share, and ring the bell. And remember, leave the rubber on the runway and your troubles on the ground. And I will see you next time. In the air. Yeah, this is Maximus.